we're just gonna kind of let everyone get logged on and ready to go. So we'll be a few minutes before we actually start doing things, but we'll just be patient with us, and we will get started shortly. You can drink wine while we wait.
Cheers.
What are you guys drinking?
So we're drinking a little bit of our Rutherford Sauvignon Blanc. You can find this out in distribution. It is from here on the property. We have 460 acres here. It's actually out by the river. The unique thing about this Sauvignon Blanc is that it is picked 3 different times during the year. So you have it picked early, midstream, and late. They separate them, process them all, and then blend them together at the end to make this beautiful Sauvignon Blanc. So nice and crisp and clean, but yet has a nice roundness and softness to it.
All right, so we are going to make some ricotta gnocchi today, but first I'm just going to introduce, this is Victoria. She's one of our educators here at Round Pond. And my name is Jamie. I'm the executive chef here at Round Pond. I've been here for 6 years next month, so it's been an awesome ride, and can't wait to do another 6 years. I've been cooking professionally for 20 years, so the winery job has been a lot of fun and a whole different pace than restaurants and hotels and stuff like that. So ricotta gnocchi. Gnocchi is an Italian kind of pasta-like dumpling. Can be made a few different ways. We are going to make it with ricotta. It can also be made with potatoes. So we are using whole milk ricotta. And again, the other thing with this one, we use some flour in it. It can be substituted for gluten-free flour, and this can be gluten-free gnocchi as well. And you can use the same kind of proportions that you want. So I'm going to get some gloves on first.
So I don't know if you guys noticed this beautiful backdrop that we have. This is our vineyard out here. Family lives here on property. So you're right here in amongst the vineyard with us.
All right, so let's get started on some gnocchi. We have 1 pound of ricotta cheese. Again, whole milk ricotta. We want all the fat, much fat as possible in our ricotta cheese.
Jamie, why as much fat as possible?
It helps with richness, creaminess, so we want all that in there. And then we've got about 3/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, so we're going to put all that in there. A pinch of nutmeg. You don't want too much, just a pinch. About a teaspoon of salt. And then we have about 1.25 cups of all-purpose flour here. You may have to add a little bit more just to make the dough the right consistency. Here we have a tablespoon of melted butter and a tablespoon of our Round Pond Italian olive oil. So we're going to put that in there as well. And then we are going to add 2 eggs to this. We're going to whisk those up a little bit, just kind of not too long, just have a couple whisks there to get them all mixed up. And we're going to add that in. And then this whole thing is going to be mixed together, and you want to use your hands. It's the easiest way to do it. It will be kind of a wet dough. That's why if you need to add a little bit more flour, we have that there for us. Just in case. But you just want to kind of bring it all together. You don't want it to stick to the sides. So we're going to need a little bit more flour. So you can add that until you get the right consistency. You kind of want to fold it around a little bit. Get it all mixed together. That's what would be about good. Now you can see we have our gnocchi dough. It is not sticking to my gloves, but it is a little bit kind of
live. We have Juan here helping us out, and he's in our tasting room as well. He can answer any questions, so we encourage questions. We have a little Q&A at the end of this, but keep popping them in. We'll get them out there to the chef or to me or to Juan.
They're asking if the eggs are from the chickens in the gardens.
They are, yes. So these eggs are from our estate chickens. We have a bunch of chickens on property that we use all the eggs from in everything that we do in the kitchen. So we'll get some gloves. All right, so we're gonna cut this in quarters. And then we're gonna put a little bit of flour down on our board, a little bit on our dough. And then we're just gonna roll this out till it gets about 3/4 of an inch thick or so. Nice and thin. And then we'll put a little bit of flour on a baking pan here with some parchment paper. And then we're just gonna cut little pieces in the gnocchi. So about 3/4 of an inch long. You're just going to go through and cut those until you've done the whole thing, and then you can repeat it with the other pieces of dough as well. For what we're doing today, we're really only going to need one. So, okay, so the first dish we're going to make, we're going to cook off some of this gnocchi, and we're going to do a lemon butter sauce with some basil in there as well. So we have our pan hot now. We're going to use just a little bit of cooking oil. So we use canola oil to cook with to sear. And then we are going to add our shrimp to the pan. 5 shrimp to this one. I'm going to sear them with a little salt and pepper. We're going to let those cook for probably 3 minutes a side or so. And then we will flip them. While that's going, we have our pot of boiling salted water here. So we can put our gnocchi in and get those cooking. They're going to take about 4 minutes when they're fresh. The other nice thing about this recipe is you can freeze these. So at this point, if you were to take these, put them on your tray, stick it in your freezer, freeze them at this point, and then when you pull them out, you can cook them frozen. So you just drop them into your boiling water frozen. They take about 5.5 minutes or so from frozen. But that's what's great about this recipe is that you can make a bunch ahead and put them in your freezer, and you can use them whenever you'd like. So we have our shrimp cooking here. We're gonna flip those.
Maybe we had a question about putting other things in the dough, like spinach or kale or anything like that.
You could, if you want to put spinach or kale or some sort of green in there. The only thing I'll say is you want to make sure that you squeeze as much liquid out of that as possible. So cook it off. You could blanch it. You can saute it if you would like. Cook it off. Squeeze out as much moisture as you can. Chop it up, and then you can fold that into your dough as well.
Perfect.
We're going to drop our gnocchi, so do it this year. We'll use about half of this. I'm going to drop that into some boiling water.
Could the lemon butter sauce,
lid back
there's a
on.
question about that, and that is, can it be made without the shrimp?
Absolutely. You can, we're going to deglaze this pan with a little white wine, but you could make this just cook down some white wine, so everything but doing the shrimp part, you can absolutely do it that way.
Perfect.
So we are going to take our shrimp out, and we're just going to kind of set those aside for now.
There's a question about if the recipes will be added to the website, and they already are.
The recipe, yes, the recipes are already added. So then we're going to deglaze this pan with a little white wine. So a 1/4 cup or so.
Another question about the oil that you use canola oil, and somebody is asking why you're using canola as opposed to olive oil.
So the olive oils that we make at Round Pond are really meant to be finishing oils. So it's something that you really want to finish your dish with and just drizzle over the top at the end. If you are going to sear with any of our olive oils, it's probably best to use the Italian. The flavored oils are really meant for just drizzling over the top and finishing things. So we're going to reduce that wine. That's reducing nicely. We are going to add juice from 1 lemon. Get that in there. We'll let that cook for a couple minutes. Our gnocchi are floating, so that's good. We'll give them about 2 more minutes. While that's going, we can cut up some basil. So we have 3 leaves of basil here, and we're just gonna kind of roll them up a little bit. And then we're gonna do what's called chiffonade, so you're just gonna cut them in thin, long strips.
Question, does it matter what kind of white wine you use?
It does not. Obviously we're using Sauvignon Blanc, that's what we have here, but if you wanted to use a Chardonnay, I would recommend either Sauvignon Blanc or Chardonnay or something like that. I wouldn't go too crazy with other wines, but so now our lemon juice and white wine are reduced. We are going to add a bunch of butter to this and kind of slowly melt it. So probably 6 or 7 tablespoons. And we're just going to pull the pan off the heat and just kind of swirl it around and let that butter slowly melt into the wine and lemon juice reduction. If you do it too fast, it's going to break. You're going to have a broken lemon sauce. So we'll just swirl that around a little bit. We're actually going to get a pan on for our next recipe so that it's hot. So we'll just keep swirling that until everything has come together. The gnocchi is ready to be pulled out. So we're going to pull those out with a little strainer here, put them right into our lemon sauce, keep swirling.
Is that a Meyer lemon or a regular lemon?
It is a Meyer lemon from our property. So we got all our gnocchi in there.
Chef Edie is live and says hi.
Eddie live.
Oh,
Eddie.
Eddie live.
He goes to say hello to you.
So we have our gnocchi in there. We're saucing them with that lemon butter sauce. We're going to add some fresh basil to that, a little bit of salt, and then we are going to plate that.
Looks amazing.
Does the gnocchi float when it's done?
It'll float. You want to let it float for a couple minutes once it gets up there to make sure that it's cooked through. So we have our gnocchi. Take that up. You can then add a few of your shrimp in there. And then a little bit more of that sauce just over the top of the shrimp. And there we have some lemon basil gnocchi with some sauteed shrimp.
What's the difference between a Meyer and a regular lemon?
Meyer lemon is a hybrid, so it's kind of a cross between a lemon and an orange. So it has a little bit more sweetness to it, not quite as tart. Next dish we're going to do, so again, this is paired with our Sauvignon Blanc. And then, so the next dish we're going to do is a brown butter gnocchi. So we're going to take that gnocchi, we're going to cook it off, and then we're going to add some brown butter with some mushrooms, pancetta, kale from our gardens here. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to get our mushrooms cooking. So a little bit of that oil to cook with. And then we have some maitake mushrooms here. You can use whatever mushrooms you like. You can use morels, chanterelles, whatever you would like. You could use plain button mushrooms if you want, completely up to you. So we're going to cook those. We can season them a little. We want to kind of season in layers. So a little salt and pepper in our mushrooms. While that's cooking, we're also going to add some pancetta, so that while the mushrooms are cooking, the pancetta is kind of rendering and releasing its fat into the mushrooms, and all that flavor kind of goes in. So we're going to add a little handful of pancetta there as well. We're going to let that cook with the mushrooms.
There's a question about gnocchi, and is there any tips on making the
something you want to do a quick meal, this is something, I mean, we made dough in 5 minutes, and in 10, 11 minutes, we already have one dish prepared, so it's something that can be quicker. I just prefer ricotta. I think it's lighter and fluffier. So we have our mushrooms and our pancetta. We're going to let that cook a little bit. We are going to bring our water back up to a boil while that's happening. You want to talk a bit about Super Tuscan?
Sure. So our Super Tuscan is the next wine we're going to have with this dish. Complements it really well. This is a dish that we traditionally do with one of our chef's pairings here at the winery. The Super Tuscan is a base of Cab and a little bit of Sangiovese, so really nice. I call it an everyday drinker. It's definitely one I take home and enjoy a lot. I do a lot of cooking myself at home, so it's definitely a fantastic food pairing wine.
Alright, so our mushrooms and pancetta are cooking. Kind of slowly, but they're cooking. We'll add a little bit of butter to that because we want to get this butter nice and brown and kind of almost burnt in a way. It'll become kind of nutty and aromatic. And then we are also going to add some chopped up, just kind of rough chopped kale that we have here. So we're going to add that in there, kind of saute that all around. And then we're going to do a pinch more salt. Like I said, we're going to season in layers. So our water is almost back to a boil. So some things happening around Round Pond now while we wait for this to kind of go. So we do have some wine deals right now. We are offering 6 bottles of our Sauvignon Blanc for $120, free delivery. We are also doing a Chef Som deal, so buy any 3 bottles of wine and you will be given kind of a link to email the chefs and we will put together some recipes for you to pair with what you purchased from Round Pond. So, and then we will be back again next week doing this. Our sous chef Cameron is going to be down in our garden doing some grilling. And I think he's going to do some lobster tail, some street corn, and a ribeye. That menu, I believe, is up on our website. And then we will have some recipes to follow.
It's up on the events page.
Oh, it's up on our events page, sorry. Off of our website, so. Okay, so we are gonna add our gnocchi to the water here.
One of the other things that we are doing here too is virtual tastings with the whole tasting room staff. So if you guys care to do any of those, any one of us are happy to do them for you. And we usually come down to the winery here and it's like you're here with us, like you would be normally speaking if we didn't have all this craziness going on. But we have you purchase the wines first, so you get them, they have a chance to settle before we book the reservation for the tasting. And then you can, go through whatever you'd like to know more of. We'll go through a little question answer situation and kind of get you set up for what you want to know so that we have prepared all the notes for that. But really a lot of fun. We've done several ourselves. I had one last week for 20 people. This week I have another one for about 6 people. They've been really fun. So hopefully you guys will all jump on that bandwagon. It's really a lot of fun. If you can't be here, you might as well hang out with us anyway, right?
All right, so we have our gnocchi in the water now. We're gonna let that cook and wait for that to float. We're still cooking our mushrooms, our pancetta, and our kale, waiting for that butter to brown up a little bit. It can be a little bit difficult with the wind blowing the flame around, but we'll get it there as far as we can in as little time as we can. And again, we're gonna pair this with our Super Tuscan. So those kind of earthiness of the mushrooms, the richness and pepperiness of pancetta, and then the earthiness of kale as well, paired with that kind of slightly bitter brown butter creaminess in there, should go really well with our Super Tuscan. This is a Gnocchi is one of my favorite things. It's actually one of the first dishes I cooked for my wife when we actually first met. So
Oh, that's awesome.
gnocchi always has kind of a soft spot in my heart. It's fun to make. And,
I like the idea of the ricotta as opposed to the potato, because growing up Italian, we always did it with potato, and
yeah.
they really are, first of all, you eat 4 of them and you're full, where this, you can have quite a few.
Yeah,
before
they're a
you're-
little bit lighter.
Yeah, it's
It's
nice.
kinda nice.
And you could do a lot more, I think, sauce-wise.
Yeah. Yep. And like you said, brown butter. So we want this butter to get kind of, you'll see it start to burn a little bit and get some speckles in it. That's just the milk fats kind of burning and caramelizing. So don't know that we're going to get there with that because of the wind, but our gnocchi is just about floating. So we'll wait for that to float, and then we're going to add that to this and then plate that up. Let's see where we're at here. So we're just about floating. Most of them are floating. So we will take our gnocchi out.
Have you ever made gluten-free gnocchi?
I have. So if you come to do a tasting at the winery and you are gluten-free, we've got you covered. We have gluten-free gnocchi that we will make for you for your chef's pan. So again, all you're doing with gluten-free is you're just substituting gluten-free flour. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, so whatever you would use in all-purpose flour, you can use in gluten-free flour. So we have our gnocchi in there now. Finally starting to get hot. We're going to season it one last time with salt, a little bit of pepper, and then we will plate this up. So we've got our gnocchi in there, seasoning, mushrooms, kale, pancetta, and then that brown butter.
Someone is asking, what kind of mushrooms are you using?
We are using maitake mushrooms, but you can use whatever type of mushroom you want. If you want to use just button mushrooms, you can do that. If you want to get really fancy and use chanterelles or morels or black trumpet mushrooms, you can do that as well. So
Which ones have the most earthy flavors? Characteristics?
probably the fancier ones, chanterelles or morels, or the maitakes have a really earthy flavor. If you wanted to use something like a portobello, you could as well. You just have to cut it up into smaller pieces.
Looks
Everything in
amazing.
there. And then we are going to just sprinkle a little bit of grated Parmesan on top of that. And there we go. And that's going to pair with our Super Tuscan.
Someone asked if rice flour is a good substitute for this recipe.
You could use rice flour, absolutely. Yep, that will work. You might need a little bit more. The thing is, rice flour doesn't have gluten in it, so it's still going to work because you're using ricotta. It's got that kind of cheesy quality, and we're also putting Parmesan in the dough, so that will kind of hold things together as it cooks as well. So we'll do a little bit of question and answer now. If anyone has questions, please feel free to send them through, and we will do our best to answer them. Any more? Any questions out there?
Anybody talking
Good
to
or
us?
bad?
Are we all still there?
Anything? Doesn't even have to be related to the food. Ask us anything.
Some comments here. Sandy Spicker says it looks beautiful, looks amazing. Let's see. Stacy Lang says hello from Colorado.
What's
P.S. This is amazing.
What's the ideal
And
drinking
now I'm
window for the
starving.
Super Tuscan?
Pardon?
What's the ideal drinking window for the Super Tuscan?
You know, I think that wine can lay down 5 to 7 years and it's going to be great. I think you can push it a little farther, but I would 5 to 7 years is really where I'd be with that. It's really such a great wine, but the base of it is cab, so you have a little more longevity there with that. But great food pairing wine.
How long will the gnocchi freeze for?
It'll freeze for, it depends on how you package it. If you're just putting it in a Ziploc bag, once it's frozen, you can kind of take it, put it in a Ziploc bag and throw it in the freezer. It'll last 2-3 months. Once it's frozen, if you wanted to vacuum seal it or seal it like that, it'll last a couple months longer than that, so probably up to 6 months.
Can you use semolina flour?
Semolina is a little too coarse. I wouldn't recommend it. I would, if you're going to use flour and you're not gluten-free, I would use all-purpose flour. If you are gluten-free, just use a gluten-free flour. We use 4 Cups brand here at the winery because it's local, Napa Valley made. So I would stick with either all-purpose or something like 4 Cups flour that's very similar to all-purpose flour, just without the gluten.
Should you cut the dough into pieces before you freeze?
You should cut the dough, yeah. So cut the dough into your kind of pieces of gnocchi. So when you roll it out, cut it into those pieces, and then you can put it on a baking tray with a piece of parchment paper and a little bit of flour sprinkled down, and then cut them up into pieces, put them on that pan, put that in the freezer, let it freeze like that.
Leslie from Arizona's on. My Aunt Diane says hi. Let's see. Oh. Who are the Giants going to pick for the 3rd round? You know that's Eric.
Someone was asking earlier if you're gonna make this dish for the lunch. I know you're making it for the chef's pairing now. So maybe you can talk about that.
Our lunch menu here that we do, the Opranzo lunch, the menu changes daily. It's really heavily based on what's coming out of our gardens. So what myself or our sous chef Cameron feels like making for that day. It could be gnocchi. We have done it a couple times, so it's just kind of luck of the draw. If you make a reservation and have a request, and we see it in there in the notes, we may be able to meet that request and make it happen for you.
What makes the brown butter brown?
So the brown butter browns when you're basically burning the milk solids in butter. So that's the part that's actually browning up.
Let's see. Goodness. Lunch looks fabulous. Look forward to coming soon. When will you be open?
Opening is kind of not up to us at this point. It all depends on what the state of California tells us to do. So hopefully as soon as we can get open, we will be open, but keep checking our website. I'm sure it'll be posted as soon as we're able to let some people in.
Brenda from Florida says she can't wait to come and do the food and wine pairing lunch. Let's see. Oh, what's for dessert?
So dessert, we are not doing dessert today, but you may see a dessert class next month. I think that's something we're going to try and pop in. So like I mentioned, next week we're going to do grilling. The week after that is Mother's Day weekend. So I will be back. Like I said, next week it's going to be our sous chef Cameron. The week after that, I will be back, and we're going to do some brunch dishes. So we're going to do a rolled omelet, a smoked salmon and avocado toast, and a steak and potato hash.
Nice.
Carol says that she doesn't cook, but she can't wait to make this recipe.
Yeah.
Do you have to drain the ricotta?
It all depends. If you get a ricotta and you open it up and it's kind of liquidy on top and a little bit wet, it will make sense to drain it a little bit. It all depends. Each brand is kind of different. So it all depends on what you see when you open it. You could use sheep's milk ricotta as well. That's something that's really popular. But we use Bellwether Farms ricotta. That's a local Sonoma Coast farm. So that's what we use.
Do you recommend browning the gnocchi?
You can brown the gnocchi. If you can get your pan hot enough, it will make all the difference in the world. And when you get that butter hot and it browns, then you add your gnocchi. Just the heat of the butter alone will start to brown the gnocchi because it's kind of cooking that flour and cheese in there, and it'll start to brown. And you'll see a little bit of color on the gnocchi as well.
We've got a recommendation for a cook-off with the other winery chef.
We could do something like that, a little mystery basket fun. I have some chef friends in other wineries that maybe we can make something like that happen. That'll be fun.
Doug is asking, can you use another cheese instead of the ricotta?
Ricotta is the best. I've never ever made them with anything other than ricotta or potato. If you don't want cheese, you can make a potato gnocchi. So potato gnocchi is basically just flour, eggs, Parmesan, and then cooked potato that you like put through a ricer. So if you don't want cheese in it, I would recommend the potato version.
Does the fat content of the ricotta matter?
It doesn't. I like whole milk ricotta. I think it's the best. I think it's the most flavorful. But if you wanted to use a skim milk or a part skim or something like that, it'll work. It's not going to change the outcome of the dough at all.
Does it change the texture of the gnocchi itself?
Not that I'm aware of. I just like, it's going to change the flavor a little bit. It's not going to have quite the richness that the whole milk ricotta has. That's why I like to use whole milk.
Sandy, Carmen, and Brenda all asked, why are we not drinking the wine that's in our glass?
Because we're answering your question. You come first. Now we'll drink.
Somebody's asking about paella cooking class.
It is not something that we have kind of thought about yet, but it's something we could do in the future. We ran a poll the other day on our social media platforms for people to give their suggestions as to what types of classes they could see. So we will put paella into the idea bank and maybe revisit that in the future.
Guy Barstead, which is our concierge here, posted, please call me and I will help you set up your virtual tasting with our educators. So you can call Guy downstairs. We have 3 people down there, 2 during the week, so there is somebody here 7 days a week answering the phones. So if you have any questions or need to know anything about your shipments or anything, feel free to call. We are here and we are all available by cell phone.
And the Arkmont family from Texas asked, if we boiled the gnocchi, could we air fry it to brown it?
I don't know. I've never thought about that. I don't know that that would work necessarily. I mean, you really don't want to bake gnocchi, and its air frying is kind of like convection baking in a way. So I'm not sure that that would work. If you try it, let me know. Send us a message on social media and let us know if it works. I'd be very interested to see.
My sister is asking, she's telling us first to get drinking, but then she's saying, why have we not had a bite of that food?
There's no forks.
That's a good one.
We forgot everything but the forks.
Would you do a private virtual class for a birthday celebration?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Elle Shap was supposed to come out there for her birthday but had to cancel.
Just give us a call.
Yeah, we can make that work. That would be fun.
Yep. No problem. The more the merrier.
People are talking about the weather being super nice. Maybe you can talk about Bud Break a little bit, Victoria, and how important the weather is this time of year.
Well, very interesting that we have this heat this time of the year because we usually don't. 87 degrees today, which is hot. We've got little babies out there, about 4 or 5 inches of growth out there on the vines. So according to John downstairs and Jeff, the vineyards are looking great. Because when I'm here, I seem to go in there and ask them how things are going. I do actually think that there is going to be a little tutorial that could be a live kind of virtual on the winemaker downstairs talking about the vineyards, possibly out in the vineyards here soon. So I think we'll have some updates coming up.
The Arkmont family, I hope I'm saying that right, is going to try it tonight and they'll let us know.
Sounds
Awesome.
good. Post a picture, tag Rompon in it. More questions?
Wish we were there. Comment. When do they harvest the olives? Well, that's in November, generally speaking. This last year was kind of a long season because we had very intermittent rain in between, and you cannot pull the olives off when it's raining. So they had to stop the harvest, then start the harvest, stop the harvest. So for poor Emilio, it went for probably 2 or 2.5 months. But all of the new olive oil is out, and if you guys need any, please give us a call, because it's all in stock. And they're really fantastic, all of them. I haven't tasted one that I don't like yet. So.
And I didn't put it on when the dishes were done, but we do have some great olive oils that you can finish these dishes with. As we were talking about our olive oils and what they're really great for is finishing. So with the shrimp and gnocchi, you could definitely do a little bit of Meyer lemon oil. And then with the brown butter and mushrooms and kale and pancetta, you could use a little bit of our garlic oil. And that would just kind of finish off each dish.
Amy is asking about rosé. The rosé will be out. I believe the ship date on that is May 4th. So if you would like some of that and you are not a wine club member, give us a call. Any of us can help you with that. You can get on our live chat. We have a live chat every day. Different people in the tasting room are manning that every day. But it won't be shipped until the 4th from my understanding. But it's right around the corner. And it's delicious.
I think that's it, unless we have more questions.
Louis said that he cooked right along with us, and it is delicious.
Thank you, Louis.
Good job, Louis.
All right, so we will be back again next week. Same time, our sous chef Cameron will be doing some grilling. And our friend Juan, who's behind the scenes here, will be the educator who's helping him out. So please tune in again next week, and we'll show you how to grill some lobster tails, steak, and corn.